What's good? Thanks for tuning in. It's Courtney with Straight from the Hip, and you are tuned in. I am doing a 30-minute Ask Anything. I know you guys keep asking me, so I've been pulling all the stuff from all the different social media and everything. So finally, we're doing it. Everyone keeps saying, "We never answer the questions. You never answer the questions." I saw you sliding in my DMs, but I'm gonna answer the questions today. So I'm going to start with the first one. This is a shout out from Jay in Chicago, Illinois. So, what's good, Jay? Thanks for sending a question in. And he wants to know, since I've been on the internet for so long and I've been podcasting for so long, what do I see as, what do you see is the evolution in podcasting since you first started? Good question. I will say, because I've been online for a while, but I've been doing podcasting about 12 years, since 2008, 2009, and I will say the evolution is that it definitely has more clout. I will say it that way. It's when I first started, a lot of times, people didn't even know what a podcast was. They were like, "What is a podcast?" And you kind of had to explain it. And I literally used to explain to people it's kind of like a radio show, but you download it and you can put it. But a lot of people did not understand the mechanics of it. They didn't understand what the purpose really of it was, if you could just listen to the radio. So to just have it evolve from something that was so obscure people couldn't wrap their minds around it, to something that is so legitimate that it made major world headlines when Mark Maron it's really has evolved as far as the credibility. I think that not only the industry itself has, but the credibility that it's given to content creators to really bring stories and ideas and positions to the world that maybe had been talked about in little tiny bits, but to really bring together not only people that are very knowledgeable about or passionate about whatever it is they're talking about, but the people who are passionate about learning about that and being able to connect in such a way. And then I think I'm actually a podcast listener. A lot of times people ask me that. They're like, "Are you an actual podcast listener?" Yes, I actually am a podcast listener. I first started listening to podcasts in 2006, 2007, when it was RSS feeds. So, always loved the ability to be able to carry it with me. I am wait, what did he say? And rewind it back. I do like that. I do the same thing with books. I'm a book nerd, but I've always been a reader. And I've always been that person that highlights and fold pages and has to go back and reference once I get later in the book. And it's so I like to be able to do that and reference back and reinforce something that I learned earlier on. So that's something that I really enjoyed about podcasting, that I could download it to my player, have it on my device, and be able to listen to it whenever I wanted to, or rewind it, or keep it as long as I wanted to. So that for me was just a passionate pleasure, because it really was because most people who know me, even my a lot of my social media for years was me with headphones on, because I consumed so many podcasts, and just about everything I was doing when I had those headphones on, I literally was listening to podcasts. And people would ask me what are you listening to? And people always thought I was listening to music. I always had podcasts in. And so I have a playlist running, and I think my playlist right now is 43 hours. It's a job, people. That's what I'm saying. It's but literally have my playlist in. I organize stuff. I even do stuff by moods, but I have different categories, whether it's my comedy stuff. I feel laughing with some shit. I have different categories and stuff, because I really am a podcast listener. And so that's why I was always surprised when people were like, "What is a podcast?" But so I did hopefully educate enough people that asked me that. But I have been a podcast listener. So as a podcast listener, I wanted to do a podcast about stuff that I didn't hear about, or things that I was interested about, and that I wanted to discuss with other people that were interested in it. And then I like the fact that podcasting doesn't limit you to one location. It's so you can talk to people all around the world. And one of my very first podcast, and it was very much, it was a personal growth spiritual but not religious. It was like I was more like more mindset, personal growth, inner growth. And so I was doing this podcast, and it was like so cool because I was meeting people from all over the world. I was on Blog Talk at the time, and they were just getting started. So there were people that would reach out and go, hey, I listened to your show, I liked it, I think I should be a guest on there, and this is my, and so like it wasn't one of those like, well, what are your numbers? It wasn't anything like that. It was literally just like, I like your show, it was cool, like I should come on and we should talk about like this topic. And you're like, yeah, that would be cool. So it was like really a way to like really discuss ideas and ingest other people's ideas in a way where it really like you, and like I said, and it's portable and convenient because you can take it with you, you can replay it, listen to it again, say, okay, well, maybe I missed that the first time, I like this conversation has maybe shifted my mind or not shifted my mind about a certain topic. So I love the fact that you could really connect in with other people on just something because you guys both have that common interest. So I thought that was just a really powerful thing about podcasting. So it's one of the things that I definitely liked. And I've always been a writer, so this just felt very, and I'm a talker. I really like people. I've always been interested in people. People that know me will tell you, like, she will talk you to death. It's like I'm a chit chatter, and I like you. So like I'm always like, hey, like what's going on? And when I ask people like, hey, how are you doing, or what's going on with you, like people will tell you like I actually mean it. Like I literally will stop and pause and wait for an answer. It's like, yeah, so I am like pretty interested in people. So I think it's like really cool when people are like, hey, this happened to me. And I'm like, really? Wow. It's like, let's discuss it. It's like, so because I just feel like if it happened to you and I was interested in it, then there's probably some other people that are interested too. So that's kind of like how I saw podcasting. It's like where you could find the people that like the stuff that you like, and you could connect with them. You guys could share ideas and everything, even without location being a factor. And it's like, so it just, to me, it felt like it brought radio like a little bit wider reach, so it was cool. And I found that it was something that I very naturally enjoyed, and kind of with my other background, like with marketing, like brick and mortar marketing, like so, and with the internet, it's like, so I was able to present things that pretty much I've been saying like all my life. And in my professional life, I've always been like a customer service like fanatic. I believe everything that I'm doing, the underlying backbone of that is customer service. So to be able to just take some of the things that I already knew about, things that I worked throughout my career, and really just pull it together in a podcast and present it in a way that people could understand it, that they can do it, and hopefully learn from it. And so that was just, it was really rewarding, and I just kind of got addicted. Like after that, like I just like, all right, let's try this, or what about this idea? And it's like, yeah, so I really like it. And I always tell people, like, that's why I tell people, go into it for the passion. Like go into it because you're really passionate about that topic, or you want to talk about it. Don't worry so much about like, oh, it's my ad revenue, my sponsorship. Like that'll come, or not if you don't want it to, but that'll come. But focus more on like really putting your because I always tell people, like, even the equipment at first, I know I hear a lot of people say, well, if the sound quality isn't good, I'm not gonna listen. Then I just feel like you're not really a podcast listener, because a podcast listener, you can listen through crackles and sound like someone's eating chips. And if you're really focused and obsessed about that information, you're gonna tune in, hear it, and listen. Like I've listened to podcasts with terrible production. I listen to podcasts with very polished production, but what I listen for is something that catches my interest. I might a lot of times I don't, because people think like, oh, do you listen to sales podcasts? I don't listen to podcasts a lot, like in my industry or anything like that. I try to listen to other people's ideas about other stuff, so that way you just see how all the little pieces fit together to make our world. So it's not just about sales and marketing, or like, so you can tend to kind of get focused and immersed in that, and especially now because everybody's like locked in the house, while on the computer 20 hours a day, so you can kind of get locked into your own little reality. So I listen to podcasts about stuff that have nothing to do. Although, I take that back. Planet Money. Because that's a podcast. That's what I tell people. Like, you don't even necessarily have to find a podcast that's in a topic you're interested in. Because I'm not necessarily like, It's not something I would have necessarily been obsessed with listening to, but I really love the way the information is presented in Planet Money. So they're talking about everyday life kind of situations and how it ties into your economy or the finances. So I like the slant and how it's done. So it is like a podcast that I listen to and that I enjoy listening to. There's a couple others, and I'll put some links in there. But there's a couple others too that I listen to that I like. It's from a different perspective, and that's what I try and bring on my show as well. And it's like, so that's what I like the most about podcasting. You can play around with the way that you want to deliver things, presenting the information in a way that people, even if they're not interested in the topic or you or your show, it's like, but that where that information can create that spark where they can create something awesome in their life, you know? So that's kind of what I like about podcasting most.